Good day. Thank you for attending this presentation introducing FreshTech and its concept notes for an agricultural and aquacultural business and innovation park in Kampong Chhnang province in Cambodia. My name is Mark Aspinall, the owner's developer for this project and the presentation today. Today I promise to help you learn and discover some things that maybe you have heard of before and want to know more, or maybe learn something entirely new. I do hope you will find what I have to discuss with you engaging, informative and instructive. I invite you to take active part throughout this and add to the dialogue we create here. Your ideas and input are most welcome. FreshTech is a brand and a company with a simple aim of providing fresh, tasty, healthy and affordable organic food. We are part of the Field of Dreams group, dedicated to solving large-scale problems through massive change. You will notice the park drawing in this slide. It is not my drawing. It is the Sino-Dutch Thai Zoo Agro Park by HX Agriculture Group. 144 hectares total, 33 hectares of greenhouses, 86 hectares of park for the local population and tourists. It includes various high-tech horticultural installations. I am using this drawing because it is a way to illustrate several elements that have many common features we envisage for the actual KCAABIP project in Cambodia. KCAABIP includes greenhouses, processing plants, logistics, housing, amenities and large water reserves for fish and aquaculture. You may notice nice gardens adding to the environmental attractiveness. These features both maintain and increase biodiversity. We will start the presentation proper on the next slide, where we discuss some global points regarding the problems our children and we face right now. The background picture illustrates the major troubles in the world. Here is the official name of the project, the Kampong Chhnang Agricultural and Aquacultural Business and Innovation Park, KCAABIP. I hope the title explains everything the project intends to deliver. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals are our focus. We are involving the latest technology to grow food and fish. Our segment of the market is high value. The products that our consumers are choosing in increasing numbers, currently pay a premium for, yet should be affordable to everyone in Cambodia and beyond. Organic is a prized label, and of course the real way to grow healthy food and fish in a sustainable, affordable way. Rural development was chosen because we are aiming to transform and grow an entire modern economy using Cambodia's backbone and true strengths, the farmers. Here we see this slide's focus is the problems, recognizing the interconnected problems and seeking creative opportunities. Our group is mission-oriented. A. Persuading the brightest, most talented and credible individuals to join the cause. People who really can help and have a proven history in their fields of expertise. With the united goal of B. Addressing our planet's most urgent need projections from now to 10, 20, 30 years. Then, through their combined leadership and teamwork, C. Delivering and executing plans for resolving our planet's existential crisis right now. Here is a soundbite. What's the 30-year plan for global food supply? No governments, no NGOs, no companies have it. Can anyone say this is not true? What do you think? Massive population growth. How will we feed these people, as well as their other needs? Will we go deeper into poverty, leading to wars? On the other hand, will we be creative? Will we develop and execute at least a few plans that can help? The UN says the current planet is home to 7.9 billion people, many who are starving or live a life that we cannot call human. The projected estimates will see a total population at 8.6 billion by mid-2030, an extra 700 million people. 9.8 billion by mid-2050, an extra 2 billion. This is within our generation. It's certainly our children's future. Acute fresh water shortages. We will look at two main facts. Almost 70% of the world's fresh water is used to grow food. It's not sustainable. China and India host 40% of the world's population, yet only have 10% of the fresh water. Therefore, we can see it is everyone's problems. Here in Cambodia, the lakes are growing smaller. River levels are falling. The water table grows lower and lower. The Tonle Sap Lake, the largest in Asia, provides a living for over 1 million Cambodians and supplies many more with their daily nutritional needs from its productive fisheries. It is under imminent threat from salination, overfishing, climate change, loss of diversity, and many other problems. Enormous arable land shortages. In the last 40 years, over 30% of farmland has been lost to urbanisation, technical development, and industrialisation. In addition, we are farming in unproductive and unsustainable ways that waste the Earth's limited resources. Planet-wide polluted environment. Large-scale agriculture with its use of pesticides and fertilizers has caused runoff to enter the water supply. This is killing fish in both rivers and coastal seas. Not to mention other pollutants from factories with the uncontrolled release of toxic chemicals into the environment. Catastrophic climate impacts. Every day we have to adjust to new realities affecting everyone. Droughts, floods, rising temperatures. The changing natural earth in its long history drives these, compounded by human influences on the planet. Immense sustainable energy needs. Currently, greenhouse gases are a big topic and usually on most agendas. Some countries are leading the way on renewable energy sources. We can mention Sweden, Brazil and New Zealand as examples. Other countries have committed to removing fossil fuels and nuclear energy as power sources. However, right now, we need to do more in less time. Huge pandemic disruptions. COVID-19, COVID-X, Virus Y. We have seen the devastating effect on people, companies, economies and nations of the expected arrival of a pandemic. World supply chains prove vulnerable. Even after 2 years, we are still experiencing shortages of labour, transport and delivery of essential supplies, such as food. We can sum up this slide by saying it's real, it's urgent. We need 2.5 Earths just to ensure our food and water security for us and our children. This is a figure given by the United Nations, and we're using this and the above highlighted problems to justify a case for this park project and other similar projects worldwide. slide background is illustrating modern farming using sensors, AI and robotics. Smart Farming 4. The proposed project. Our main explanation of the venture. In this slide, we are exploring some of the most tried and tested solutions for the problems we saw in the previous slide. The solutions: creating opportunities for investments within the largest, most critical sectors. If there is a need, then there is an opportunity, and the larger the need, the better the payoff. We are still on the mission-oriented part of our group's statements. Our soundbite is, the market demand is there. It's a matter if you can grow reliably and get it to the consumers. People do need food to live. In Cambodia and elsewhere, we find food for sale where we cannot identify the source and how it is grown. Usually grown in some dirty field full of toxic pollutants or using some harmful chemicals to poison people in the quest for money. Consumers want the real deal nowadays. Indoors, controlled environment. Let us agree we cannot control the whole earth, at least not yet. Nevertheless, we can control indoors, such as greenhouses and other purpose-built structures. We can take the fruit, vegetables and fish indoors. We can save biodiversity. We can study optimal growing methods. We can give them precisely what they need to thrive and grow faster, better, stronger. No genetically modified organisms. Consumer awareness and the growing contentions of the risk-reward of GMOs are a hot topic. We know that in reality, nature does not need them. They were a solution we used in the old style of growing. Our modern crops are definitely different, through selection from our early ancestors' crops, but we cannot say for sure the long-term impact of GMOs will be beneficial for the human race. We just take the solution of no GMOs, simple, direct and economic. Using 90 to 95% less water. This is a chief selling point of our solution. If we can grow products using 10 to 20 times less water, then we are on the way of helping solve the water problem we talked about earlier, both in water scarce or undependable areas, even down to areas we previously thought unfit for food production. It is a great idea. Elimination of all pesticides, another good selling point. Why pollute the environment and the people eating our food? In a controlled, scientific, biosecure setting, we can reduce this input and save on costs economically. We do not have to deal with the polluted wastewater from traditional cleaning processes or the release of pollutants into the air, land and water. 30 times more crops per square metre. Addressing our concerns about the lack of arable land, we can offer the proven benefits of a lot more profits on far less land, 30 times. In addition, this figure will only increase through our precision farming methods. It is highly attractive to any farmer or countries with no space for growth like Singapore. Growing food all year, every year. We do not have to be at the mercy of the growing seasons, the undependable rainfall, sunshine, daylight lengths or other factors affecting the products. Our solutions are highly adaptable to the natural climate and improve on that. Smartphone and app. AI control of data, sensors and robotics. Having the data collected and analysed, and better still commercially used, is the high-tech approach. This is required for economies of scale and for a continually improving system. For example, The consumers and retailers want to know what crops, when, and how much. We can program the satellite spokes feeding our storage and logistics buying centres so the latest temperature and humidity and fertiliser inputs change in real time from the science and from the actual conditions in the local area today. Update, update, update. Green sustainable energy. Fortunately, Cambodia is charmed with plenty of sunlight, perfect for low-cost solar. Great for reduction of the current high energy costs. We can factor in elimination of the unreliable supply that affects investors and operators here. In addition, it is renewable. We can take advantage of available grants and push towards a greener world. Resistant to climate and weather conditions. Although we cannot guarantee against unexpected events like tornadoes or other major disruptors, we can say we are not subject to flooding on the site. We can also eliminate most of the effects of the climate, both long and short term. Advanced recycling of water and waste. There is no need for major infrastructure plants, which are government dependent, with long, difficult scheduling and political considerations. Small, cheap, efficient technology will provide the port with what it needs, exactly tailor-made. We cannot 100% recycle waste, like plastics, but we can achieve 70% to 80% efficiency over a wide range of operations and human necessities. Israel is a world leader of technologies in this field, and we intend to partner with the most promising and innovative solutions. The UNIDO model places great emphasis on this aspect of site design. Isolation from pests and diseases. Outdoor soils and exposure to vector-borne diseases are responsible for much loss of crops. Growing indoors allows us to avoid these factors, and in the worst case allows us to A. identify quickly, and B. control and eliminate them if an accident occurs. We allow nature's great pollinators to aid us, bees and other insects that live in harmony with our products. Free honey. Maintaining and increasing biodiverse products. We control the climate indoors, therefore we can experiment and bring to market crops never before grown, especially crops and fish never grown large scale in Cambodia. Growing more varieties, plums, apricots, strawberries, and any other product our R&D section sees as tasty, fresh, and commercially viable. The slide background is illustrating a case study. A 25-hectare site in Moorhead, Kentucky, USA. One of the largest in the world to be indoors. Built fast, using the latest and best available technologies. The products are on the shelves right now. A superb example. Our project and taglines. The right project using the right people and their results is the point of this case study. We have chosen this as a good model for building an accelerated time roadmap that convinces stakeholders this sector is right. Our group is committed, using the right models, copying working plans, and delivering at each stage of the investment process a good roadmap for building fast and sending the harvest to market in the shortest possible time. At harvest, US, went from $250,000 seed funding to a $1 billion public company in just 3 years. This case is famous. An owner with land having a good idea, raising the money for feasibility studies and producing a strong, easily understood business plan. Then through to stock market listing, with all the stakeholders, down to the consumers, able to invest in what they are eating. The SPAC listing, also known as the open check approach, removes many obstacles to quick launch and cash flow availability, so we can move the project in the right direction with minimum delays. In February 2018, the project owner, Mr. Jonathan Webb, convinced his early investors, who included AOL co-founder Steve Case, to provide seed capital of $250,000 USD. The necessary funding to move up to the construction phase. We will look at the seed stage, ETC, in more detail in a later slide. Around a year later, the early investors brought on a bigger team to raise the Series A funding for construction. Later rounds brought on more capital and investors to keep the project amply funded during building, testing, commissioning and startup. In May 2019, the official start of construction commenced with the groundbreaking ceremony and publicity coverage by the media and leading dignitaries. The inauguration of the site was in October 2020 with the ribbon cutting ceremony and the harvest planting, grade A tomatoes. 3 months later, in January 2021, the pick sorted, clean, washed, packed, harvest arrived on the shelves, a major milestone for investor confidence. In February 2021, the company flotation on the stock market valued at harvest at $1 billion USD, with ready capital of 500 million. The capital is ready available for expansion to 25 other sites, specialising in different crops but using the same model and for training and education. We intend to phase our project like this, but with our expansion within a single project site. A recap that shows construction break into operations was around 17 months. Quick. At harvest, early investors can help us and maybe even fund us. Their goals to help solve the world food problem are ideal. The least we can get is expert help and introduction to the park's investor matches. Using well-known construction companies with experience such as Dalsen will significantly reduce our timelines and increase our chances of success. Large-scale distribution and marketing specialists will ease the workload of our core team and unite our brand with the retailers and consumers for satisfaction. These are win-win situations. We shall explore the at-harvest case study in steps. We can see how the ideas match with our own from beginning to where they are right now. The concept, consisting of the zoning, the product and the methods, greenhouses, packing, etc. A general idea of the layout. The land. It was bare, unproductive land with poor soil and no water management. Owned by Jonathan Webb, waiting for the seed capital and others to join in the project. Breaking ground. Simple, easy construction, but using a well-designed set of drawings produced at the seed fund stage. Using the next range of investor capital raised from the yes-no decision according to the business case and plan. Construction. Shown here is the progress as it headed towards testing, commissioning and startup. The simple protected water resources are visible. Completion. The real site comes to life, within budget and according to schedule. Starting growing. The team of specialised operators chose hydroponics as their choice of growing media. Precision farming methods that give each tomato its individual fertiliser, water and sunlight according to its stage of growth. First harvest pick. Local labour performed this after their easily learned technical training. No need for heavy, intensive mechanical labour in the fields, working in the rain and harsh sunlight. A nice, enjoyable working environment with a reduced workload. First stage, cleaning and grading. The machinery used is well known, simple automation. Packing and labelling. Using more environmentally friendly cases, easily stacked for transport. The product, good brand labelling coupled with tracking and inventory technology, barcodes, QR codes and so on. Robotic crating. Acquisition of other start-up high-tech companies allowing introduction of newer technologies. Robotic picking. Another company bought by AppHarvest. This can sense and pick ripe produce and eliminate boring jobs. These are great areas for Cambodia to develop its new modern workforce. This background is a modern hydroponics farm growing fresh organic strawberries. Our project and tags. Building on the last slides about AppHarvest, we can now look at our project, its similarities and differences. We are focusing this slide on partnering with world-leading agricultural nations to cause change on a massive scale. Although Cambodia's traditional mainstay is agriculture, we will learn that its outputs are low. It is dependent on imports for many crops, and its farmers are low-tech. We can only move forward with help from more developed nations. We are, of course, a forward-thinking group, well-read and up-to-date on developments. In transforming Cambodia into an agricultural hub using off-the-shelf technology, we recognise that the benefits of currently available solutions are suited to rapid adaptation and the longer-term goals of developing our own workforce. Better technology will come later. Building the KCAABIP, this is future farming now to feed our nation. It's a strong justification of our case. As the people on scholarships abroad require a springboard when they return and try to exercise their learning in the real world. We are setting an early goal for all stakeholders using catching the low-hanging fruit by bringing production back to Cambodia. As a target, we can measure against balance of payments. I'm sure the market traders will be extremely happy at selling fresh organics grown in Cambodia products at a cheaper price too. Although we truly enjoy win-win scenarios, we do like strong statements like, we are disruptive, we aim to shock, we intend to change the face of Cambodian farming forever. It means we have to be agents of change and let people know smart farming is here and here to make a huge difference. Let us examine the Netherlands v Cambodia figures. The Netherlands is at least 4 times smaller than Cambodia with similar population, yet the agricultural export figures speak loudly, 20 times more value. The Netherlands, in fact, is the second largest agricultural exporter in the world after the United States. we will be certain there will be a major player in this project. For those unfamiliar with Cambodia's strategic location, we can visit Google Earth. Cambodia has ready access to vast markets in ASEAN, with its combined population of 660 million. We can also include China as a major trading partner. Cambodia itself, within the Southeast Asian Peninsula. It has 25 provinces. Our project is in Kampong Chhnang. Kampong Chhnang province is centrally located, together with the Tonle Sap Lake and the Tonle Sap River. The site itself is a tract of land normally unsuited to growing. This is itself a consideration of overcoming world arable land shortages. As the project utilises soilless production, we are not dependent on depleting land reserves through deforestation or repurposing from current agricultural outputs. One of our transportation links is directly adjacent to the railway line, running to the border in Thailand, south to the capital city Phnom Penh and onwards to Sihanouk port. It is a good way to get the products to market. It avoids heavy traffic and enhances consolidation. The site itself is 446 hectares, fully legally owned. It allows phased construction and future expansion. Adding to our ideal centralised spot, we add in the ASEAN economic corridors, showing our links, both current and future, with our neighbours of Thailand, Laos and Vietnam. Life in the province is from a long gone age, rudimentary, sedentary, with a bare standard of living, yet beautiful, friendly and enjoying a fantastic climate. Nearby we do have an airport. Although it is not up to international standards and is not operating, it is there as a future possibility. One suggestion would be a drone centre for response to natural disasters such as flooding. It would be great if easy distribution of our products happened in times of need. The railway itself is ripe for utilisation. Although not electrified, it does operate. The engines are suited to pulling large consolidated loads. The countryside it passes through is scenic and beautiful. Phnom Penh has developed rapidly, and some buildings, such as the Vatanak, are iconic. The railway station is refurbished and fit for use, although it may need more attention from the government. Sihanouk port is operational, with ships arriving and departing to many destinations. This presents some distance advantages over other countries to our export target markets. The KCAABIP project is aesthetically pleasing, fits in well with our food focus, does not affect the cultural aspects of the province, and is a good blend of Khmer and foreign architectural style. The slide background is the traditional method of growing rice in Cambodia. It proves the potential for future farming. In addition, it shows the most likely affected people from our project for rural transformation. Our project and tags. Here is the concept of the KCAABIP project. It is a cluster of industries, all food-based, including its supporting services. It must be profitable or its aims will fail. For value adds, we use direct marketing of the products. Further, We use products that may not be visually appealing enough for consumer sale. We process these into higher products, e.g. tomato ketchup or tomato sauces. The concept uses the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals as its foundation. Our soundbite and takeaway is KCAABIP is our contribution towards the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, which this slide will now focus on. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015, provides a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet, now and into the future. At its heart are the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, which are an urgent call for action by all countries, developing and developed, in a global partnership. They recognise that ending poverty and other deprivations must go hand in hand with strategies that improve health and education, reduce inequality and spur economic growth, all while tackling climate change and working to preserve our oceans and forests. No poverty. End poverty in all its forms everywhere. COVID has hampered the attainment of this goal. With our project helping, we could gain our own national target by raising the standard of living for farmers in our province. Zero hunger. End hunger, achieve food security and improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. Achieving this goal is a primary aim of the KCAABIP project. Good health and well-being. Ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. Organics is the way. The working conditions we envisage are an improvement over toiling in the sun. The welfare facilities, hospitals and care for everyone are a step up. Quality education. We realise the educational institutes will take a long time to adapt, so our project has initiatives to put training packages into schools, colleges and universities to educate at all levels. It can be as simple as training staff in our farming methods, or helping develop AI specialists, sensor technologists, research and development, and foster an interest in a good career in food. Gender equality. Achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. During the identification of stakeholder phase, we discovered that there was a distinct imbalance in the genders. Yet, in our province, we have more women than men, and the background picture shows the menial tasks delegated to women and girls. We are firmly committed to this particular goal. Clean water and sanitation. Ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. These goals match our KCAABIP strong points. We will carefully manage the water. Plants are 95% water. Agriculture uses a lot. We have to be careful over every drop. Affordable and clean energy. Ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all. As stated earlier, Cambodia does have problems with reliable supply and the relatively high cost of electricity. It is making progress with large hydroelectric projects, but this form of renewable energy has its own set of problems. We have opted to take advantage of Cambodia's very sunny climate to supplement and indeed replace our park's needs using solar technology. There is a possibility of a hybrid with wind technology. Decent work and economic growth. Promote sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment and decent work for all. Besides employment within the park, we have the strategy for a hub and spoke approach where we involve our farmer capture area. These do not have access to market or indeed know how to grow diverse crops in greenhouses. In addition, they are unlikely to build capital-intensive processing plants. They would rely on us as their main hub. However, we can bring additional incomes, and the export potential is of great benefit to the people affected. Industry, innovation and infrastructure. Build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization and foster innovation. We are a major contributor towards this SDG. Reduced inequalities. Reduce inequality within and among countries. We have our strengths in Cambodia and huge potential. I'm sure our Minister of Economics and Finance will be happy at a more equitable balance of trade. Sustainable cities and communities. Make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient and sustainable. Although not strictly a city, we are heavily dependent on the local community. We can safely say we are inclusive and can build a model area for the future. Responsible consumption and production. Ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. We are farm to fork. In addition, we are energy efficient and use big data to improve the park's production. On the consumer side, we aim to reduce the footprint, but also encourage less packaging and more eco-friendly ways of getting the food to the table, such as including dietary recommendations and recipes. Climate action. Take urgent action to combat climate change and its impact. Our park addresses the high priority areas of food security, freshwater resources, human health and key economic sectors and services. Life below water. Conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas and marine resources for sustainable development. Although we are focused on agriculture, fruit and vegetables, we are also highly focused on aquaculture and aquaponics, feeding fish that grow plants in an industrial scale symbiosis, copying nature, harnessing nature's natural gifts. We have included large water reserves within the park design, a perfect area to see many varieties of freshwater fish and a haven to protect our biodiversity. Life on land. Protect, restore and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems. Sustainably manage forests, combat desertification and halt and reverse land degradation and halt biodiversity loss. The project uses unproductive land. It will manage the resources without impacts on the environment. 30 times more crops per square metre helps preserve the forests and prevents any degradation to the land, as we do not rely on soil. We are here to provide the ideal environment to maintain and increase biodiversity. Peace, justice and strong institutions. Promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. Provide access to justice for all and build effective, accountable and inclusive institutions at all levels. We are a private-led initiative, but we recognise the need to be government-enabled. We are confident the Royal Cambodian Government will work hand in hand with us for stakeholder investment. Partnerships for the goals. Strengthen the means of implementation and revitalise the global partnership for sustainable development. We are part of this journey and a global partner welcoming all friends. The background to the slide shows our results: fresh, tasty, healthy and affordable food. The label Fresh Organics Grown in Cambodia needs adding. Our project and tags. Sector specifics used are organic, food related, R&D, education, production, processing, packaging, storage and transportation. Soundbite: lots of diverse, tasty, healthy and affordable organic food for everyone, everywhere, all the time, for the consumer. Our group is working towards two easily understood principles. A. Growing, processing, distributing more organic food within our province. B. From and for the people of Cambodia and beyond. The concept soundbite is a little more personal than farm to fork. It creates a picture that resonates with people, from our delicious farms to your abundant harvest table. It is easy to imagine. We have our main goals for the project, through which we hope to align our stakeholders. This helps manage the project and keep it on track within its parameters. Building a vibrant, thriving, UN SDG framed, organic, food-based economy. We are promoting organics, which is more specific than just food. Providing the necessary infrastructure for the park's portfolio, programs and projects. Ensuring we maximise shared resources that are fit for purpose. Developing and sustaining diverse, organic value chain markets. Value chains are now fashionable again. Encouraging a high level of consumer awareness and commitment. Our ultimate end user should develop a sense of loyalty if we use engagement. Creating relationships for collaboration in compatible and fair regulatory frameworks. Working with the governments across the markets to ensure our strengths gain maximum exposure and assistance. Improving regional living wages and conditions for decent life for people and their families. The SDG slide addresses this goal. Our group is profitable, but spending the profits as a non-profit organisation. In short, our goals are beyond simple business. Supplying simple, easily learned, one-stop business support services. In the age of apps, we aim to help everyone, from the farmers to the CEOs. Educating current and future generations about smart food as a career. Vocational centres and hands-on experience will provide engaging, challenging work in modern environments. The slide background shows a healthy range of foods, including fish. We cannot grow all indoors at our current stage of technological development. It will one day come, maybe through our R&D. The project and core using the integrated cluster model. The park is a network of people and ideas with combined aims and goals. Here we shall look at how we are combining one industrial, scalable strategy and three themes.
providing and supporting 5 dedicated business areas with our core of community interest in UN SDG focused profitable organic food. The Scalable strategy soundbite of an efficiently run market responsive park for regional economic development and employment growth, which we can divide into the following 3 themes. Rural transformation, which contains the following elements: buying and selling of raw inputs, technological products and farmers' outputs. Rural development services. Production and processing, which consists of the following elements: R&D, production, processing, packaging, marketing and sales, trade and social spaces. Consolidation, which finalizes the themes with the following elements: storage and distribution, logistics, serving and satisfying consumer and market 24/7 365, interactive responsiveness. The park has 5 zones dedicated to specific business areas: R&D, production, processing, trade and services. R&D is concerned with high-tech, best crop and fish research, laboratories, business incubators, educational and training facilities. Production is concerned with Smart Farm 4, greenhouses, aquaponics, hydroponics, seeds, fruit, vegetables and fish production. Processing contains facilities for sorting, grading, washing, cutting, steaming, drying, chilling, freezing, packing and so on. Trade is composed of storage for all inputs and outputs: fresh, treated, dry, chilled, frozen, logistics. High-tech trade, market. Finally, services encompasses power, water and internet, wastewater treatment and reuse, garbage collection, recycling and disposal. The background shows our interest in integrating AI, robotics and smart apps to the overall project objective of growing tasty, healthy foods. The project and core. We move on now to the planning and design phase. Who is most likely to be interested in early buy-ins, and in which sectors? We are at the concept phase. We need to develop the idea and establish its feasibility. We are promoting private sector, business, scientific and engineering investments in market-led food. Our group would act as a catalyst for solutions. We recognise that engaging with stakeholders in the planning and design process and facilitating consultations on green, sustainable and economic park viability will be the best way towards providing a strong, feasible business plan with detailed research and evaluations. We cannot do it all at once or immediately. In fact, developing countries tend to miss vital steps, which slows down development, causes delays and even failure by not addressing the key issues, together with solid data and a scale-up methodology. Our soundbite is therefore ensuring stakeholder early buy-ins aligned on clear objectives to a solid master plan with scale-up. We will look at the basics in this slide to gain a clearer idea of what our project encompasses. Our industry target. First, we are a specialised industrial business and innovation park. Next, we are engaged in the profitable, sustainable, green and organic agricultural and aquacultural industry for UN SDG rural development. Our premises and services. The park is integrated mixed use around the organic food industry. This comprises the elements of industrial, commercial and residential, consolidation and logistics, and community involvement. Our development objectives for the park cover these major areas. Basic to SEZ. We would like an SEZ, or more accurately, a qualified investment project with associated export-related benefits and incentives. Besides growing food, we are actively engaged in the related fields of science, technology, ecology and social. We use the elements of industrial green competitiveness, innovation and technology transfer, special regulatory and fiscal regime to gain the goals. Our lead ownership is private enterprise that are involved in the disciplines of business, scientific, engineering and food. The finance and ownership through equity, excluding donor grants, consists of a consortium of early, mid, late investors, angels, venture capital, global and local, food and tech companies, farmers groups and so on. Where are we now? The starting point. The site is greenfield, never been used for any purpose, and is around 450 hectares of undeveloped and unproductive land. The interest is food, so as the developer I've worked with the first investor and landowner to bring this concept to relevant parties for consideration. The land itself cost $19 million to secure absolute rights and legally registered ownership. The background shows groups of people sharing ideas in a meeting. The projects and tags. We are still dealing with the planning and design phase. While still focusing on providing solutions, this slide will detail engaging with stakeholders in the planning and design process. What type of shareholders and what do they expect for success? Our soundbite is private sector-led, government-enabled, stakeholder involvement for profitable investment success. Our first task is stakeholder identification, so here I've grouped them into 7 main player classes. There are many groupings, but this one is adequate for now. 1. The developers and operators of the site, land, business, infrastructure developers, engineering and construction companies, site and park management teams. 2. The clients, tenants, customers and suppliers, domestic and multinational, small, medium, large enterprises, agro and aqua, input, production, processing industries, wholesale and retail. 3. The R&D, training and education, local and overseas universities, colleges, vocational training, research centres. 4. The support services, marketing, logistics, testing laboratories, repair, phytosanitary, export clearance service providers. 5. The financiers, donors, international organisations, banks, private foundations, grant and equity financiers. 6. The social aspects, NGOs, worker organisations, farmer cooperatives, value chain associations, chambers of commerce. 7. The government, both domestic and foreign, agriculture, fisheries, industry, telecoms, trade, transport, land planning, rural development. Here we list the factors that determine both success and failure. These are collected, analysed and synthesised from cases around the world. They will guide our stakeholder engagement in 24 core discussions. We require a political champion, someone who can actively campaign and liaise with the various government departments. In addition, the project requires input and endorsement from the Prime Minister. The aim is sustained high-level political leadership delivery outcomes. Everyone requires policy continuity, consistency, transparency and predictability. If a new government changes its course, we observe the cancellation or derailment of many projects. The park should be a part of the national plan by encapsulation in broader development strategies. Preliminary research for yes-no evidence-based decisions. Data-driven evidence presents a strong justification or not, as the case may be. If the park is too big, it can cause a huge loss of money if it fails to attract tenants. If too small, it will fail to achieve cost savings from economies of scale. Therefore, it is prudent to adopt a phased approach. Correct sizing should be a major consideration during this phase. Mobilise capital from immediate to long term. Although we can build rapidly and move to operations within 2 years, the ultimate goal is to keep the park running over its expansion phases and profitable for 30 years. A good mix of financing options is required. Good park management plan with competent, trusted staff. This is essential. Who will run the park? What is the plan? Who will be on the team? Flexibility and responsiveness to changing economic realities. Consumer tastes inevitably change. Countries develop and trade agreements alter. Pandemics and climate change also factor into the equation. A good risk analysis will shape our mitigating strategies. Balanced internal and external park business environment. Business should be easy here, not just the formalities, but including social factors, access to amenities for recreation, for example. Targeted blend of tenants focused on core activities, SDG focused, high-tech, high-value, organic food for rural development, R&D, production, processing, trade, services, supporting services, logistics, marketing are all needed. Wide range of attractive fiscal and non-fiscal incentives. Fiscal incentives are not the only reason for success. There are others, such as ease of doing business, on-site export clearance, fast lane permits, etc. Responsive to investors' needs and investment drivers. Every stakeholder is different. Each has their own reason for being part of the project. Keeping a dynamic stakeholder register of their needs and expectations in ISO 9001 format will track and manage this diverse range. Excellent balance of incentives and regulations. The park itself must offer incentives, but also must have rules in order to be run fairly and equitable. Strategic location, close to farmers and transport routes. Many projects have failed because of not paying attention to the suitability of the location. Secure, simple, enforceable land rights and tenure system. Cambodia does have laws regarding land ownership. However, the dispute mechanism is slow and unwieldy. Our site avoids all that by being privately owned and available right now. Quality, green, affordable and reliable infrastructure. Underfunding projects will achieve the opposite. We cannot take shortcuts. Good project management skills will give us the optimum balance based on scope, quality, time and cost. Efficient trade facilitation and other bureaucratic processes. We want to do business. Cambodia is developing online processes and reducing the steps required for the formalities. We can help. Managed, integrated upstream and downstream linkages. Farm to fork is good, but we must also have feedback mechanisms from the consumer. In addition, the AI must give real-time data, including how ripe is the harvest, when is it ready, who is buying, who is eating, do we change crops, in addition to a range of other factors. Integration of local SMEs and farmers in the park ecosystem. Although the park is standalone, it is a hub to the local economy. We buy, store, process and provide access to markets. We require labour. It is necessary to involve everyone affected in our capture area. Access to competitive, easily trained, gender equal labour. Changing farming forever requires a good workforce. Kampong Chhnang has a good pool of labour with high unemployment and underrepresented females. Access to reliable and consistent raw inputs and farmer outputs. Again, projects have failed on this point. We must prove and present accurate data on essential inputs. Access to quick, competitive, affordable support functions, for example, repairs, spare parts, etc. Access to sustainable, quality, focused education and training. Where will this take place? What are the requirements? What are the training formats? Access to science, technology and innovation initiatives. The world is changing and changing fast. Cambodia does need to move to Farming 4. We will provide incubators for entrepreneurs who wish to grow their ideas. The background shows groups of people consulting on planning and design. Our projects and tags. We are still dealing with the planning and design phase. While still focusing on providing solutions, this slide will detail facilitating consultations on green, sustainable and economic park viability. What are the steps to form a yes/no decision before construction? Our soundbite: a powerful, analytic, rationality and viability framework for market-led, investor-driven consensus. Step 1. Rally interest of stakeholders and align aims, goals and objectives. Identifying potential stakeholders, making contact, creating awareness of the project and gaining input for the mission. Step 2. Business case formulation, including pre-feasibility evidence. The next slide examines in more detail the actual business case structure. Step 3. Site identification with market suitability, logistics, utilities and cost. Although we do have a site already purchased, we must look carefully at what we intend to do with it. Step 4. Refined feasibility analysis of market and investor demand studies. Although general statistics are available, we do have to do a deep dive. Step 5. Land acquisition backed by full statutory approvals and permits. Although we have purchased the land, there are other formalities to complete, such as building permits, qualified investment project (QIP) approvals, etc. Step 6. Energy efficient site master plans, layout, zoning and infrastructure, involving architects, engineers, business people, using best construction practices and standards. Step 7. Environmental, social and economic effect assessments and mitigation. All projects on such a scale require these reports. We will prepare and present them. Step 8. Green, sustainable, peer-reviewed engineering plans. Peer-reviewed is important. Value engineering is a critical part and leads to more cost-effective plans. Step 9. Financial modelling and structuring with agreement from backers. Everyone is interested in how much all of this will cost and how exactly we will finance it, how much can we sell, and so on. The backers will determine the actual accurate model from start to 30 years in the future. Step 10. At the end of these steps, we are in a position to say yes or no to moving forward and be able to easily raise funds for procurement and construction. We emphasize that stakeholder engagement throughout park conception, planning and design is crucial. The background shows a milestone achieved and the happiness of the people involved, the results of the planning and design seed capital. Our project and tag. We are still dealing with the planning and design phase. While still focusing on providing solutions, this slide will detail our providing a strong, feasible business plan with detailed research and evaluations, what is contained within the plan, its overall structure and contents. Our soundbite is powerful political allies, skilled businesses and willing farmers championing the case for Cambodia. We should have gained all these during the formation of the master plan. 1. Introduction. Cambodia's food and allied sectors, opportunities and challenges, engagement of consultants, kick-off meeting, scope of services, the structure of this plan. 2. Detailed activities and approach methodology. 3. Overview of Cambodian agri and aqua sector potential. Historical context. Agricultural and aquacultural ecological zones, sector performance, allied sector performance, analysis of crops and fish, agro and food processing overview, major constraints, benchmarking with comparable models, key lessons, the potential opportunities and new initiatives, the potential of the site and province. 4. Conceptualization and configuration of KCAABIP. Significant factors for project investment decisions. Uniqueness and core offerings of the KCAABIP. Analysis of the scope for operation of the KCAABIP. Sector coverage. Major nodes of the KCAABIP. Identification of the subsectors. Backward and forward linkages, social infrastructure and product differentiators. 5. Stakeholder mapping and consultations. Stakeholder mapping, consultation strategy, stakeholder coordination mechanisms, key findings and factors for sustained business. 6. Value chain analysis. Sector-wise VCA, product-wise VCA, private and government sector participation in the value chain. 7. vision and mission, conceptualization, focus areas, facilitators, enablers and linkages of the KCAABIP, vision, mission, short, medium and long-term goals. 8. Land for the KCAABIP, location details, salient features, evaluation criteria of the KCAABIP, transport connections, topographical survey details, infrastructure details and compliance evaluation to criteria. 9. Zone definition, existing land use pattern and transportation network, assessment of procurement of raw material inputs and farmer outputs, demarcation of the KCAABIP and the legal definition of KCAABIP. 10. Master planning and configuration of KCAABIP, planning principles, goals and objectives, concept, KCAABIP considerations, broad design, sustainability, master plan components, product mix and facility configuration, land use pattern, plot locations and sizes, zoning, industrial, residential, commercial, support and project phasing. 11. Infrastructure and facilities within the KCAABIP, infrastructure objectives, identification of requirements, infrastructure planning, general infrastructure, road categories, water supply, treatment and reuse, sewerage system, collection, treatment and recycling, drainage, power supply and distribution, street lights, utilities mapping and schematics, social infrastructure, transport system within the park, environmental and green infrastructure and specialised infrastructure. 12. Infrastructure gap analysis, requirement of production farm linkages, technology, education, training and capacity building, knowledge centre, market intelligence centre, collection and storage centres, primary processing hubs, reefer transportation systems, rail port and air connectivity, power, water and telecom supply and the market infrastructure. 13. Environmental, social and economic assessments, objectives, climate and rainfall, soil characteristics, hydrology, ambient air quality, noise levels, surface water quality, ecology and biodiversity, special regional compliances, social and economic conditions, demographics, project affected people, PAP, and project affected families, PAF, management plans. 14. Agri and aqua business analysis and arrangements, supply chain alignment with domestic and international requirements, opportunities for SMEs, food safety practices, sustainable farming practices, yield increases, consumer price decreases, post-harvest loss reduction, increased technology access, international marketing, social inclusion and rural development with food. 15. Project costs, the approach. KCAABIP project cost, detail of cost estimates, phase project cost, specialised infrastructure cost and external linkages. 16. Revenue drivers, identification of revenue streams, undeveloped and developed plots, interim land use, facility management, operations of specialised infrastructure and phase revenue. 17. Means of finance, financial and investment model analysis, funding requirements and means of finance, assumptions for financial analysis, cost of operations, financial expenses, working results, internal rate of return, debt service coverage ratio, projected cash flow statement, payback periods, projected balance sheet, cost-benefit ratios, social, economic and environmental indicators and financial indicators. 18. Development strategy and implementation structure. The development approach. Options of strategies, private sector development lead, structuring and special purpose vehicles, governance and management, legal framework, land and access rights, strategic partners and developers, foreign partnerships, roles and responsibilities, templates for MOUs, procurement guidelines and bidding documents. 19. Branding and marketing strategies, sector project opportunities and profiles, marketing programs, communication plan, investor targeting, website, social media, TV, radio, newspapers, bulletins, newsletters, updates and roadshows. 20. Implementation scheduling and project action planning, due diligence, site suitability, field investigations, strategic partnership selections, statutory approvals, linkages and connectivity, design and detail engineering, tendering and awarding of contracts, marketing of the project, marketing of outputs, construction timeline, monitoring and evaluation mechanism. 21. Risk analysis and mitigation strategies, the approach. Critical success factors, risk analysis matrices, assessments, modelling and risk rating, governance, institutional and legal risks, environmental assessments, green growth, climate, adoption of smart agricultural practices, pest management, phytosanitary, economic risks, displacement, land issues, commercial, contract, social impacts. 22. SWOT, PESTLE, Porter, ABCD. Analysis of various elements of the park, concept and positioning, sustainable development, park infrastructure, connectivity infrastructure, availability of natural resources, availability of energy, water, telecoms. Innovation, stakeholder attraction, implementation, operations and the agribusiness. 23. Benefits and contributions. Analysis of benefits and contributions. UN SDGs, food security, food production, technological interventions, income and employment, harvest yield, consumer pricing, exports, economic growth, sustainable development, social inclusion, female empowerment, youth involvement, education and training, logistic solutions, rural development, farmers, producers, processors, traders, exporters and community, and the balance of trade. 24. Structure of feasibility study and business plan, final report, arranged in 24 chapters as above, containing subheadings as indicated, appendices and annexes, and the work plan and schedule. The background shows people signing a contract appropriate for the procurement phases. Our project and tag. We are now moving on to procurement. Stakeholder opportunities in sourcing, selection and contract execution activities. Our group uses bank-approved methodologies. We have summarized and highlighted in this slide a brief overview of the processes. We'll be using 7 core principles to guide procurement. We will be following 6 key stage documented managed processes. The results of this allows us to support a range of national and international proposals, bids and quotes. Soundbite: room for everyone to profit in this project while achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. We cannot achieve the goals without profit. Everyone must profit. Here are the 7 core principles used by the World Bank and adopted by our group and the project. 1. Value for money. Good use of economic resources. Price alone is not the deciding factor. 2. Economy. Sustainability, quality and non-price attributes and/or life cycle cost. Economic, environmental and social considerations. 3. Integrity. The use of funds, resources, assets and authority according to the intended purposes. 4. Fit for purpose. The most appropriate approach to meet the project development objectives and outcomes. 5. Efficiency. Proportional to the value and risks of the underlying project activities. 6. Transparency. Appropriate review of the procurement activities, supported by appropriate documentation and disclosure. 7. Fairness. Open, competitive procurement is our preferred approach. Here are the 6 key stages used by the World Bank and are adopted by our group and the project. 1. Identification. Development activities, needs, outcomes, time and cost. 2. Analysis. Supply market, selection method, procurement plan. 3. Requirements. Specifications, evaluation scheme, go to market. 4. Source. Approach the market, select the best bid, award contract. 5. Implement. Proactively manage, monitor and control the contract. 6. Check. Review implementation, value for money, lessons learned. Here are the documented managed processes, starting with activities, needs and requirements for development procurement. We have 2 choices: direct selection, usually low value, easily obtained goods and services by well-attested local firms, or a competitive process for higher value goods and services. Choosing the competitive approach gives 2 options: the national market or the international market. If the national market is used, we follow the national procurement procedures and documents. If the international market is used, we follow the bank's standard procurement documents. The bank's processes call for 2 types of bid selection: limited, for pre-qualified suppliers only, or the open bid method. The issuing of requests for bids, quotations and proposals. Here is a brief overview of the 7 steps that govern procurement. We start with the legal framework basis for any contract. 2. The pre-qualification of companies and individuals. 3. The design specifications based on accepted industry standards. 4. The request for bids. 5. The bid evaluation according to weighted criteria. 6. The contract award. 7. The management, monitoring and controlling of the contract. The background shows a similar project under construction. This is to give us faith. Well thought out designs are built. Our project and tags. The construction phase. Engaging best-in-class leaders in close teamwork to showcase the project talents. It is very easy to build low-tech, low-quality, but we feel we really do deserve the best for Cambodia. Food security is high on the agenda. The economies of scale studies show high quality, high tech gives a better ROI. Collaboration during construction. We will get the most efficient results and value for money outcomes by using 8-phase disciplines for construction project realization, as set forth by the Construction Industry Institute. CII best practice is a process or method that, when executed effectively, leads to enhanced project performance. Extensive industry use and/or validation has proved CII best practices. We will use 14 knowledge areas to guide the construction implementation. We will be unifying the project in a construction advanced work packaging framework. This slide expands on these. The benefits are 25% increase in productivity and $20 million in savings in costs on a $100 million project. Our soundbite is a great window of opportunity, short but open right now. Will you capture it or just let it slip? The 8-phase disciplines start with Stage 1, Feasibility. Is it worthwhile to start a project? Is there a need? A business sponsors project objective. A phase report and a path forward allows green lights in order to proceed to the next phase. Stage 2, Concept. Study cost estimate, initial project execution plan, preliminary schedule and preliminary engineering design documents. Prove the viability to move forward. Stage 3, Detailed scope. Finalize the technology, project objectives, process and design scope definition, major equipment pricing, project execution plan, budget cost estimate and detailed scope document. Stage 4, MEP design detail. Use detailed scope document for design activities, documents for procurement, construction, commissioning and startup. Issue for construction, IFC, and procurement documents. Stage 5, Procure. Use detailed scope document. Issue for construction and procurement documents. Procurement activities for equipment, material and labour. Request for quotes and bids, bid analysis. Purchase order documentation and labour contracts. Stage 6, Construct. Perform construction activities following the concept, detailed scope, detailed design, constructability and planning and scheduling documents. Stage 7, Testing and commissioning, startup operations, sampling operations. Perform activities to achieve design performance levels and the performance test report. Stage 8, Handover and closeout. Perform regulatory, contractual, archival and owner-required activities to close the project. Here is a brief overview of the knowledge areas, starting with KA1, front-end planning. Obtain enough information to address risk and make decisions. KA2, alignment. Develop and meet uniform and understood project goals. KA3, constructability. Optimize use of construction knowledge and experience. KA4, materials management. Specified quantity, quality of materials in a timely manner. KA5, planning for modularization. Large-scale off-site prefabrication of modular elements. KA6, planning for startup. Bridge for construction completion and commercial operations. KA7, team building. Develop shared goals, trust and commitment and accountability. KA8, partnering. Commitment between organisations to share resources. KA9, quality management. QA, QC programs for efficiency, compliance and cost effectiveness. KA10, benchmarking and metrics. Measure performance against best industry practice. KA11, change management. Balanced program to recognise, monitor and evaluate change. KA12, dispute prevention and resolution. Disputes review board to address construction issues. KA13, project risk assessment. Identify, assess and manage risks for reduced exposure. And KA14, zero accidents techniques. Site-specific safety programs, implementation and auditing. The background slide illustrates operations management, our project and tags. Operations, we're still promoting engaging best-in-class leaders in close teamwork to showcase their talents, but on the operations side. Efficiency is the keynote, being an efficient operator, offering a distinctive value proposition for effective brand marketing strategies, ensuring efficient day-to-day operations of its specialised and general facilities, and delivering a well-proven management model with ongoing performance evaluation. Soundbite: KCAABIP is more than just a real estate solution. It offers a big basket of business support services. We will now examine the main management functions for the KCAABIP. A. Plot and zone allocation. Managing park real estate, sales, leasing, transfers, competitive and transparent pricing, utility and infrastructure costs plus margin for expansion and upgrades. B. Infrastructure and utilities. Guaranteeing regular supply, provide and maintain water, power, waste, drainage, telecoms, internal transport, fire, health, structures and landscaping services. C. Administration services. Ensuring quick and easy entry of firms. Providing safe and secure environment, registration, licensing and compliance, ensuring overall park financial management. D. Business and innovation. Attracting new desirable residents, providing information and platforms, encourage R&D and knowledge sharing, attract skilled workers and support innovation. E. Community and social services. Creating favourable work-life spaces, providing healthcare, education, training, recreation, catering, firefighting and other services for companies, staff and visitors. F. Performance and monitoring. Economic, social and environmental. Monitoring, controlling, assessing and evaluating performance. Regular survey of residents and communities. Compile reports. The background is of the Prime Minister of Cambodia, meeting with his best ministers. Overhead is King Norodom Sihamoni, with the late King Father Norodom Sihanouk and his mother Norodom Moniniath Sihanouk. Our projects and tags. This slide is focusing on park regulation, collaborating with the Royal Government of Cambodia to favourably attract FDI. Remember, private-led, government-enabled. Our role here, as a group, is to enable the government to do its work, using well-established, embedded, consulting and technical advisor donor routes. The donors are fully equipped to do what they do best, training and capacity development. Also, ensuring the success of a major project vital to the nation. They will take the lead for training relevant RGC line ministries to enable a great park investment climate. We cannot proceed without ensuring the Prime Minister supports the park as its main political champion. Soundbite. The Royal Government of Cambodia welcomes all friends with its attractive investment policies. We shall examine the major ways in which the government interacts with the KCAABIP project. Dedicated KCAABIP policies and regulations. Smart policies to inclusively and sustainably promote exports, attract investment and create employment. Foreign direct investment (FDI) guarantees. Political and economic stability, non-discriminatory and transparent framework laws for FDI. Foreign exchange policies and regulations. High degree of capital and current account convertibility, financial transaction freedom and flexibility. Arbitration for foreign investors. Attract and retain foreign investment with easy, fair, transparent commercial dispute settlements. Investment incentives. Import and export incentives, credits, insurance, warranties, VAT and duty reductions and exemptions. Global investment agreements and rules. Increase the number of multilateral, regional and bilateral trade and investment agreements. We are presenting risk management and the background represents that. Our projects and tags. A good risk management plan is essential. It inspires stakeholder confidence and increases the chances of profitable, fruitful investments. Driving a car is a risk, but we do not have to be a risky driver. We enjoy risks. We take risks. However, we only take measured risks. We model by using a tried and trusted, industry-proven risk management cycle. In this cycle, we start by identifying and prioritizing potential KCAABIP project risks, and then employing a range of management strategies and plans to eliminate or mitigate those risks. Soundbite. Clear risk identification, prevention and mitigation plans at company and park levels are critical. Here is the risk management cycle we will use. It comprises 6 phases which we will now introduce. 1. Awareness. We must first be aware of risk. It affects us every day. We cannot plan for what we cannot foresee. However, having a plan in place where we can log unforeseen occurrences from any source within the project is a necessary step. 2. Identify. We now move to log what type of risk using the 7 categories which we will see later in the slide. 3. Measure. We have to quantify the risk in measurable concrete terms. How much and what impact on the project. 4. Analyze. Now comes the mathematics, likelihood, frequency, consequences and priority. 5. Prevent or mitigate. We will apply strategies shown later in the slide. 6. Monitor and control. Ongoing real-time data, benchmarked against accepted standards. Risk 1. Planning. Planning compliance, population density, traffic and congestion, adjacent properties, utilities capacity, enterprise layout, land titling, demand risk, economic justification. Risk 2. Strategic. Construction risks, suppliers and partners, non-performance risks, policy instability, promoter capacity, operations, governance, technology, regulatory framework. Risk 3. Financial. Stock and capital market fluctuations, exchange and currency fluctuations, liquidity and cash flow, fraud, financial viability. Risk 4. Commercial. Competitors, market share, reputation and business interruption. Risk 5. Environmental. Storms, floods, droughts, inclement weather, fire, explosion, hazardous materials, waste disposal, wastewater disposal and natural disasters. Risk 6. Occupational. Accidents, health, operational safety, reduction and retention, knowledge management and emergency support. Risk 7. Fixed asset. Security, fire, energy continuity, property damage, machinery breakdown. Here is an example of a matrix for planning and development risk. A similar matrix for operational risk. We prevent or mitigate the risks using 4 courses of action. 1. Avoidance. Eliminate the causes. 2. Reduction. Reduce the impact or probability. 3. Retention. Accept and plan contingency. 4. Sharing. Share the risk burden with others. The background is illustrating a real-time dashboard, in this case measuring performance, our project and tags. This slide focuses on performance evaluation, encouraging stakeholders through meaningful, measurable success factors. How do we know we are doing well? Our group is outcome oriented. We judge by results. We have adopted the United Nations International Development Organization's UNIDO Inclusive and Sustainable Industrial Development ISID framework, readily adaptable using 3 domains and 13 key performance indicators, KPIs. To simplify the measurement, we will use simple yes-no sets of questions for comprehensive data. Managers will use a database to benchmark by park, province, country and globe. Soundbite. The park's performance measures are easy to use, practical ways to see our effect on people's lives. We illustrate next the UNIDO Inclusive and Sustainable Industrial Development ISID framework. The three domains or pillars of the park's performance. 1. Advancing economic competitiveness. Our KPIs are good economic governance, economically enabling site and infrastructure hardware, economically enabling services, software, and economically impactful nature. 2. Creating shared prosperity. Our KPIs are socially appropriate site and social infrastructure, quality social management and social services, occupational health and safety, good labour relations and welfare, and social inclusiveness. 3. Safeguarding the environment. Our KPIs are environmentally appropriate site, green infrastructure, green systems, efficient and clean production, emissions and waste management. For the managerial database, we will highlight the linkages. Here are the park staff. Here is the park database containing the ISIL data. It is cloud-based. Our database interacts with other databases from and used by country ministries, development partners, and global ministries. Here are the two-way links. New data is collected by distributing the ISID questionnaire to park companies and the farmer cooperatives, etc. The data collected updates the park database. We will then deliver the up-to-date performance reports to stakeholders. The background is people enjoying their successful work. Our project and tags. The focus on this slide is the overview, driving park success with donor support, development finance and investor backing. Our group involves achievers. This point is essential. Quitters never win, winners never quit. We achieve by using lessons from deep analysis of the factors determining success and failure, generating jobs, income, food security, exports, import substitution and tax revenue, providing powerful solutions for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We have adopted a model for providing an overview of the overall aims and objectives. We will illustrate this overview model in this slide. Soundbite. Creating large-scale security for millions of people is an interesting challenge. Believe and execute. We will start by dividing the overview into three main areas, each subdivided into 3 parts, 9 total, beginning with A. Design and development, B. Management and operations, C. Firms' incentives and performance. Within design and development, our 3 main areas are 1. Planning, 2. Construction, 3. Institutional modalities. Within management and operations, our 3 main areas are 1. Governance and operations, 2. Infrastructure and services management, and 3. Stakeholder engagement. Within firms' incentives and performance, our 3 main areas are 1. Infrastructure and services. 2. Fiscal and non-fiscal incentives. 3. Firms' performance requirements. Design and development planning factors. Business case development, pre-feasibility and feasibility, master planning, site selection and acquisition, integrated plans and rural linkage, environmental and social assessments, risk planning and mitigation, stakeholder consultation. Design and development construction factors. On-site and off-site infrastructure, demand and risks assessments, spatial organisation and zoning, site preparation and plot layout, external and internal utilities. Design and development institutional modalities, identification of backers and political champions, financial structuring and sourcing, ownership structures, economic modelling and impact projections. Management and operations, governance and operations factors, park policy and accountability mechanisms, setup of management and ownership structures, finance and administration, SEZ, special purpose vehicles, monitoring and evaluation, management and operations, infrastructure and management services, regulation and one-stop shops, shared facilities, internal and external energy, water and transport connections, security, emergency services, waste management, site maintenance. Management and operations, stakeholder engagement factors, investment promotion, facilitation and aftercare, private sector engagement, special laws and incentives, development and management of companies' performance requirements, transfer of developed plots, labour relations. Firms, incentives and performance, infrastructure and service factors, investment aftercare, dedicated utilities, infrastructure, waste, emergency services, factory shells and shared facilities, housing, daycare, shops, clinics, on-site incubators, one-stop shops and on-site customs clearance. Firms, incentives and performance, fiscal and non-fiscal incentives. Corporate tax, VAT, duty exemptions, concessional finance, training subsidies, FDI, guarantees and arbitration, foreign exchange policy and regulations. Firms, incentives and performance, firms, performance requirements, pre-qualification, business plan approvals, export, fixed percentage or increases, local sourcing and value add, technology upgrades, local employment, staff training, production in money or volume. The background represents a diverse workforce of international scope, the face of our project, our projects and tags. The focus of this slide is marketing and promotion, attracting investors for fresh organics grown in Cambodia branding. Our role is to act as active, positive image builders through developing the core branding, associated images and messages to create loyalty, identifying and engaging desirable potential investors with tailored business cases, and facilitating and servicing investors so buying decisions become operational. Soundbite. Fresh organics grown in Cambodia is more than a label. In truth, your family can eat well every day. We have divided the investment support phases into 4 areas. A. Pre-investment. B. Entry stage. C. Implementation. And D. Operations and aftercare. At the pre-investment phase, we will be marketing and promoting around the general infrastructure, connectivity, incentives and other business partners. At the entry stage, we will be marketing and promoting with detailed procedures and regulations for doing business and living here in Cambodia. At the implementation stage, we will be marketing and promoting company formation, plot ID, expat entry, building, construction, utilities and HR. At the operations and aftercare stage, we will be marketing and promoting, matching local suppliers, skills, technology, training and arbitration. Now we will examine creation of the core climate of investment policies for marketing and promotion. 6 areas that span from the project conception to reinvestment decisions. A. Sector-specific information to capture attention and engage interest. B. Branding. Create powerful brand loyalty messages. C. Targeting. Present tailored business cases. Facilitation. Provide information to convert decisions to invest. E. Servicing. Assist decisions to move forward to operational projects. F. Aftercare. Identify and facilitate reinvest decisions. The information we need to provide in attractive formats start with subsector information, location, markets, target investors and competing locations. Then investor needs, access to inputs, farmer outputs, diversification, labour training, science, technology and innovation. Further, we focus on location solutions, how this site meets stakeholder needs more than other sites. Capping is using proven results. Part of our strategy involves mobilization of the network of Cambodian diplomatic channels, embassies and consulates, first points of contact. How we get the message out there, dedicated websites, social media channels with regular postings, fact sheets, videos, information briefs to attract investors, newsletters to inform audience of park investment progress, publicise successes with press, radio, TV, conferences and tours.